Fala galera, meu nome é Felippe Percigo e eu vou trazer hoje um vídeo diferente para vocês, uma entrevista que eu fiz com o Jared, CEO da Status App, um aplicativo onde você consegue transacionar suas criptomoedas em segurança, tem chat, Web3. Eu já fiz um vídeo em relação a isso e hoje eu estou trazendo o CEO deles para falar um pouquinho sobre privacidade. Ele vai contar um pouquinho a história dele, da onde que ele conhece as criptomoedas, e já te adianto, é lá de 2011. Então o cara tem muito conteúdo, a gente vai falar sobre privacidade também, então presta atenção nesse vídeo que eu tenho certeza que você vai curtir. Não esquece também de ativar as legendas aqui no canto direito da sua tela, porque a entrevista é toda em inglês, então eu preciso que você ative a legenda para que você consiga reter esse conteúdo, tá bom? Espero que você curte. First of all, thank you for your time, Jared. It's a pleasure to be talking with you. As Eduardo said, people in Brazil loves to know more about the people behind the applications and the things in cryptocurrency. So thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me as well. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to our chat.
First of all, I would like to ask you to make a brief presentation of yourself. Who is Jared? Where are you from? How do you got into status and this kind of stuff?
Sure. I mean, okay. So who is Jared? Oh, I'm an Australian, right? From the Southern Hemisphere. How I got into this whole blockchain space was from this sort of cypherpunk crypto anarchy kind of ideology, right? I'm fairly into sort of classical liberalism. And what was so compelling about, say, blockchain technology in general, well, public blockchain technology, is that it was the first sort of real way of distributing power, decentralizing power. And what's really important about that is it allows you to create systems that are less corrupt or less corruption resistant is probably the better way to say it, right? In the sense that you could publish any kind of rule, and then the more you decentralize the network and the more that those nodes are all playing by the same rules, it means that no one can change them as easily, right? And so this becomes really important when it comes to, like, finance, as we're seeing with DeFi, but also in the future, it's going to be used for like legal services and institutional services and things that the government should be providing, but maybe are not doing in the best way or the most efficient way. So I just find that really, really compelling as an idea, right? Like, it's like you can have anyone in the world, like even if they're a child, publish these rules on how to socially organize or how to transact, let's say. And all of a sudden it's available globally within 30 seconds of less, and then you get to voluntarily choose whether you want to interact and participate in those contracts. And that's just something that we haven't really had before. How I view that in the future is that currently we have the nation state, and the idea of sovereignty is kind of done at this level, and it's based on territory, right? So it's like if a governing body can control enough territory with an application with a monopoly on violence, then they can kind of call the shots. And that's not inherently bad, but what I think is really cool about this technology is that let's say that you do have these rules and they are taking over large parts of, say, law and sort of financial services and administrative services. Then all of a sudden, you have this kind of new network state that doesn't require territory because it goes over the internet. And as long as you can access it and connect to it in a trustless way or a decentralized way, which is what Status is trying to do, then you can get access to global markets. Then you can get access to fair rules. And really what I've been on a mission to do is to enable those technologies, to enable crypto in the real world usage. And Status is a stepping stone along the way. Yeah.
Sounds really good. One question. When do you first knew about cryptocurrency? Do you remember the year? It was like 2013, 12, or later?
No, I got in pretty early. I got in around sort of 2010, 2011.
Hmm.
I've spent a lot of time on the internet, just researching really cool ideas and this sort of things. And back then, like Bitcoin wasn't even considered that serious.
Hmm.
Mount Gox, MT Gox, it was a infamous, exchange. Back then, it was only trading Magic the Gathering trading cards, right? And then they just added this weird Bitcoin thing. It was just like, what's all that about? Um, I mean, at the same time, like Bitcoin is this culmination of work that's been happening behind the scenes. Like there's like DigiCash and Hashcash and these sort of predecessors to it, which
Hmm.
I found absolutely compelling. And I've bought into the sort of cypherpunk ideology, and I hope we see more of it have positive effects on people in the real world. Hopefully within my lifetime.
Sounds really good. Yeah, you have been in this market for a long time, since the beginning. I can say that. And you talk about MyCox. For those that do not know and will be watching this, MyCox was the biggest exchange in that time, and they supposed got hacked, and then they lost all the bitcoins. Supposed because it doesn't have improved that it had been hacked and the funds have been transferred. So okay. And talking about exchanges and wallets, a lot of people store their cryptocurrencies in exchanges, and this is
Mhm.
not safe. And I know that Status came with the idea that you have your own private keys, and you can like store your own cryptocurrencies. And how do you think this could be like for the consumer, like people that wants to make their own custody? Why this is important for people? Why people need to have their own custody of the funds and not trust in like exchanges or third party wallets that do not provide the private keys or something like that?
Well, the difficulty with this sort of technology, at least as it is today, is that your private keys are something that you should own alone, right? It's kind of similar to like a password that you'd use on like a normal website.
Mhm.
But the only issue is that you don't have the ability to retrieve your password in case you forget it or reset it, right? It's a very important piece of information that you need to keep safe, right? And so it's recommended practice to have a hardware wallet, for example. Status does a product called Keycard that is very convenient, and it fits in your normal wallet, like in your cow wallet, let's say, not your not. um, but if you leave your funds with an intermediary, then you suffer all the problems of them being able to access your funds, right? And it might not even be for a benign purpose. It might just be some kind of security flaw or some misconfiguration in their servers, especially with exchanges. They have a centralized exchanges have a history of being hacked. Um, and if you don't control or own your own data, then it's not yours, right? It's
Mhm.
not dissimilar to uploading your photos into the quote unquote cloud, and then all of a sudden it's being used. Google's running it through a machine learning algorithm, and Facebook is like doing face tracking on all of your images, and building these crazy profiles on where you've been in throughout your whole life. So there's a lot of yeah. So fundamentally, it's a security issue, but more philosophically, it's more about personal responsibility. Like this is a new paradigm. Blockchain doesn't treat you like a baby. It doesn't hold your hand. You are responsible for how you act in a free and open market,
Mhm.
and it pays to be educated. So I would highly recommend it. Um, but yeah, definitely get a hardware wallet, and hopefully, as the blockchain technology scales and gets better, then we can move on to decentralized exchanges, which further disintermediates the sort of power that's held by centralized exchanges, and perhaps their ability to um, manipulate the markets. I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying that that's a kind of a consequence of centralization, that they have that kind of lever of power, right?
Yeah, they have the power, the money to do this. Nah? I agree with you. And I talk about privacy and freedom, and you have your own keys. You have to have responsibility. Status is it's a wallet, right? And today you can use only Ethereum blockchain, and you cannot use Bitcoin on the app, right?
Yeah. Status is born out of the Ethereum community. So yes, we are working tightly integrated with Ethereum. We first ported Ethereum to Android in the very early days, and we've just kind of built on that. And so the idea is to have a fully decentralized client. The issue with doing like multi-chains and supporting Bitcoin and these other things is that if you're doing a peer-to-peer client, all of a sudden every new network that you're adding to requires another set of peer-to-peer connections, right? So you might be connecting to 20 peers in Status currently, but then if you add a Bitcoin SPV client, then you're doing the same thing. But that'll change, right? So currently in Status, you can use wrapped Bitcoin, which is a sort of I guess like a Bitcoin stable coin that's on Ethereum. It's trying to represent the asset of Bitcoin. So you can hold them if you're fine with an ERC20 version or a wrapped version of Bitcoin. But we have plans in the future to become multi-chain. So there's quite a lot that we're doing on that front. So we actually work on a lot of other infrastructure. So Status is like this super app, which is like a showcase of what we're doing. But then there's like different layers of protocols underneath. And so one of them is the ability to to do light clients and distribute blockchain state in a different way than what the blockchain protocol does, but it allows the mobile client to access it trustlessly. That isn't in production yet, and it'll take a few years. But we're kind of forced to become a multi-chain client anyway because of Ethereum 2, right? So Ethereum 2 has multiple shards, and these shards are essentially just another blockchain next to each other, right? So I believe the current Ethereum 2 spec has 64 shards that'll be part of it. So it's like 64 blockchains back by back. So for a mobile client, that's quite difficult. You have to how do you connect to all of these different shards in different ways? The common way is to do like this, is to use a little bit of centralization, unfortunately. So you have to use what's called a JSON API interface to access these things. But we're trying to disintermediate that and make that not a problem, because that is an attack vector.
Okay. And asking about, you said the multi-chain and everything like that. Why you guys chose Ethereum? Why doesn't go to other chains and let's leave Ethereum behind and let's focus in the other ones? Why Status chose Ethereum to be the main, like the core of the blockchain that you guys use today?
Sure. So when I started, right, before Ethereum was even known, right, we were trying to make Bitcoin do these things it wasn't designed to do, right? So at the time, there was projects like Namecoin, there was colored coins. So like this is the ability to color in Bitcoins to represent different assets. There was Mastercoin and Counterparty. And so we were all trying to add this extra layers of programmability and like extend the Bitcoin scripting language beyond what was capable. And and then Vitalik and his merry men came along, and they dropped the sort of white paper on Bitcoin Talk, and it just made so much more sense to just put a general purpose virtual machine on top of that. Now, since then, after the sort of 2017 craze, there's been like a lot of sort of Ethereum clones or Ethereum killers, let's say. But not many of them have actually innovated in terms of the technology that much. They haven't solved some underlying problems. The reason they're fast is largely due to not being used as much, right? So like if they had the same kind of network load as say like Ethereum is currently experiencing, then they would suffer similarly. Not all of them, it depends on the consensus algorithm and these sort of things. But yeah, at the same time, like Ethereum that's where all the sort of best researchers are, right? Like there's an incredible minds that are around that, and they're coming up with wonderful ideas all the time, and they're not money driven, right? They're not business driven. They're actually just trying to make the best technology possible and understand this technology in a very deep way. So yeah.
Yeah, and one of the applications on Ethereum that have been grown a lot in the last year and in this year too is the DeFi, right? Like decentralized finances. And I would like you to like just talk about your opinion about that. I know that in the status app we have the way of changing and access some protocols, decentralized exchanges and things like that. And how do you see this kind of technology, and how do you see the future of them? Do you think they will grow? How people in Asia are seeing this, Europe, and how can you see this for now and the future?
Sure. So before DeFi was a thing, right? Like we used to think of creating a platform for what we called dApps, or decentralized applications, right? So these would be general purpose dApps that were hosted on decentralized file storage, and they couldn't be taken down, right? Even if even against a state level adversary. And so that's taken a lot longer to realize that full vision. We're certainly not there yet, right? And so it's kind of a question of product market fit. DeFi is kind of the sort of best use case for blockchain technology today, because you can do it all in smart contracts, right? And you can potentially earn a lot of money by participating in them. So with those two kind of sort of forces meeting each other in the middle, like we've seen this massive boom in DeFi. Yeah, it's been wonderful to see, because it's actual real world usage, and a lot of really cool things are coming out of it, especially decentralized exchanges. And we'll see DeFi disrupting the whole fintech space more and more. Like we don't have all of the fintech services that are common built on blockchain, and especially not used in the real world. I think the future, well, so the next thing to be work on is GovTech, right, or DGov, and so like this is creating institutions and laws and these sort of things. You can imagine a lot of different things as well, like IoT and just if you're thinking about the future, a great way to think about it is like what happens when the transaction costs of doing anything, and I mean that transaction costs in the abstract way. So like, say you have to get a car, your driver's license for your car, you have to go to like some building and you have to wait in line and fill out all of these forms, blah, 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 blah. And you can waste a day on that. And with this kind of technology, a lot of that form filling goes away, because it's kind of already present in the blockchain, and it's done in a private way as well. I imagine a future where everyone's using this, and blockchain technology becomes the sort of fabric of society. So we haven't even seen it really blow up yet. Like the industry hasn't started. Like we got front row seats. We're sitting there, and I'm building it, and you guys are kind of betting on us and supporting us, which we really appreciate. That's going to drive adoption, and one day everyone's going to be using it, and it's going to be a normal thing. and we're going to be better off for it, I think.
Yeah, I like to compare like Bitcoin 2013 as DeFi or something like that as last year. Like it's just in the beginning. Institutional investors are just investing now in Bitcoin, and probably they will open their eyes probably in the next 3-4 years for DeFi or tokenization or something like that, right? And that's really nice. That's really nice. We have seen a growth in Brazil, a growth of interest in DeFi. One of the most like videos and contents that people ask to is about DeFi, how to use DeFi, what is a decentralized application, what is Uniswap, status app. People ask a lot because we talking about privacy here in Brazil. We have a lot of like data leak, and when we propose something that is privacy, that your privacy is the main core, let's say, people thinks that is strange. People aware or people think about my privacy. And I know that one of the main thing about status is the privacy of the client, right? Even if the access, the transactions, the download that do not take the name of the cell phone or something like that. Because I know that there is apps that they took like the email or the other codes of the phone and they store that, and that's not privacy, right? And
Right.
I don't know if in Europe, Asia, Australia, we have the same thing about data leak, or people are aware about privacy. They think about privacy. Here in Brazil, people, they do not think about privacy. They just want to use the things and they do not think about that. But there, do you think that they think more about privacy? They are aware of the things?
No, so privacy is something that you don't like. Most people don't value until they're violated, right? So it's not until your nude photos that you've accidentally uploaded get leaked. But I mean, it's like, do you have curtains in your house and do you close them at night? Do you lock your doors? Do you close the door when you go to the bathroom? You know, like if you do any of those things, then on some level you do value your privacy. But I don't think people are very aware to the extent of how easy it is for companies to collect your information over the internet and then how they use them. There's a whole industry around data brokers who their entire business model is to collect data about you and to build your profile. So if you're using like Facebook or an Android app or Google or anything like that, there is a profile out there on the internet being shared and sold between companies, and that might be okay. You might think it's okay for marketing purposes, but it's when it starts getting sold to powers that might have influence over you, perhaps insurance companies, and they change your premium, or even governments, and if they turn authoritarian or decide you are doing something on the internet that they don't like, they might exercise that sort of power over you. So it's what I care about a lot, because if we build it with privacy in mind, it means we build it with respecting the user in mind. And how I view it is we're encoding the sort of human rights into the software itself, right? So we respect your privacy. We don't collect any data, and it's not that we promise not to. It's like that we actually can't, like by design. There's one caveat to this though. Public blockchains are not necessarily private, right? Like Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't private blockchains. There are some out there, like Zcash and Monero, which are designed with your privacy in mind. But you're absolutely right. Most people don't care about it until something happens. We see a lot in sort of areas of conflict. So, for example, like in Hong Kong or anywhere that there's protests, that's when privacy becomes really important, because you don't want to be, if you're organizing, collective action, or you're trying to stand up for what you believe in, it's very easy for your competitor to probably prevent that by looking at the data that you're sending over the internet.
Yeah, yeah. Our data, everything that we do today is in the internet, right? We have to be aware of that and take care of ourselves. Because there is a phrase I do not remember in the full sentence, but it's something like, or you sell the product, or if you are the product. When we talk about data, right? And
Yeah, if the product is free, then you are the product, right? Like they are using your data to sell. So
yeah, it's crazy to think about that. Yeah, we have to be aware. And going on a cryptocurrency, I would like to know your opinion. And we have seen a lot of Ethereum killers as Cardano. People are talking more about Polkadot as well. There is potential for that or not? If Ethereum 2.0 do not go live, do you think these others ones could like achieve something? We have seen, I think, BNB from Binance getting stronger. I would like to know your opinion about that.
yeah, so I mean the Polkadot guys, they are incredibly talented people, and Gavin Wood used to be part of the Ethereum project, and he's a very brilliant mind. So the technical architecture of Polkadot, I can buy into. I think it's pretty interesting. Cardano as well, like the IOHK guys, they do some amazing research. I don't know if you're interested in reading their papers, but like some of the research that comes out of there, it's quite fascinating. Again, like this sort of industry is so small and so tiny, so tiny right now. We haven't even seen anything happen yet. Like I think Bitcoin makes up 60% of the entire market. And so there's plenty of room to grow. And I think that there's going to be many of these sort of blockchain networks or ecosystems popping up. Yeah, it's just really early days. I think that how I envision it is it's more like an internet of blockchains, right? And so what's going to happen is there's going to be all of these different special purpose blockchains, or they're all doing they might even be the same technology, but they're just catering to different markets. Like one might be a DeFi, one might be for I don't know, real estate or some other random industry, right? Yeah. And they'll be able to talk to each other and be able to send value across them trustlessly. I guess another way to think about it is like maybe even nation states or end up having their own chains. Like currently they're looking at these sort of central bank digital currencies, which aren't really, they're not blockchains at all, but maybe one day they'll do that sort of thing. And of course they will want to have their own chain with their own currency and secure it themselves, but also be able to talk with other nation states and transact value that way. So that's also a possibility.
Yeah, one thing that you said, the CBDCs, as people call, right, central bank digital currencies. And I want to ask a question for you is, do you think probably in the next years, like let's see, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, do you think it's possible, like the whole global financial system, the bank as we know today, maybe they will shift, they will embrace cryptocurrency, or the exchanges are the new banks? How do you see that? Do you think it's possible that we have like the nation's cryptocurrency talking with Bitcoin, Ethereum blockchains and things like that, or is too abstract to think like that?
No, I don't. I mean, I love to think like that. Actually, it's the best way to think. Good question. The CBDCs I'm not a fan of, right? They don't make sense from a user's perspective, or from the people's perspective. They're consolidating power and they have the complete control over the entire currency, which is just not. It's antithetical to what Bitcoin and blockchain technology is trying to do. That they will certainly exist, and so there's going to be this sort of regulatory climate or framework which will make it more difficult to use things like Bitcoin under that paradigm. Having that said, things like Bitcoin or any of these blockchain technologies, they're designed to work for the people without anyone's permission, right? They're permissionless. And so if you can access the internet and you can use a VPN or some other means of protecting yourself, even status, then you'll be able to access these networks and you'll still be able to hold these currencies. And in the face of any kind of political or financial turmoil, these will be the sort of stone rock that you can hold on to, and everyone in the world can participate in. So what I think will happen is that this technology will ultimately outcompete anything else. And if everyone on the planet, sees realizes the value of that, whether they learned that the hard way or the easy way, I think within 20 or 30 years time, I would imagine most people will be using it on a daily basis, even if they don't know they're using it.
Okay, yeah. Probably a lot of people do not know how the bank system works, and they just simply works with that, right? I think one thing that people should start to do is study more about this market. I know in the first time that you arrive in this market, it's a lot of different names and different things and technological things, but I think people should be prepared and study for that, because probably in the near future, 10, 15 years or even early, the demand of professional people that know about this kind of market and application will be demand for companies, like contract people that know about blockchain and put the guy just to, okay, you should look of every point of the company and see where blockchain could be fit in. So I think people should start study that, because probably will be a demand for people that know about this kind of market, right?
Absolutely. And at the same time, we'll be working to make the technology more accessible and easier to use, and hopefully less intimidating as well. So
yeah, you are a person that know Bitcoin. I talk about Bitcoin because it's the first one, but you remember in that time when was to create a private key or something like that, and how it is today. You have changed a lot, and it's much easier today. And I think in the near future will be more easily than it is today. So yeah, I agree with you.
Absolutely.
And just to go into the ending, because of our time, first of all, I would like to thank you for the interview, the opportunity to create this content for people in Brazil and Latin America as possible as well. And I would like to know if you have any message that you want to leave for the Brazilian audience, and things that maybe you can talk about, like status. You can be like full. It's in your terms. You can say whatever you want to.
Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, it's been great to chat, and yeah, thank you for having me. I find Brazil and Latin America really, really fascinating, right? There is a strong demand for crypto, and it seems that a large percentage of the population really, really gets it. So we're trying to do our best to bring this technology and make it easier to the Brazilian people, and neighboring countries as well. Yeah, I mean, I guess for Status, go check us out at status.im. We also have statusnetwork.com, which shows some of our other projects that we work on. We work on developer tooling. We work on hardware wallets, the mobile application, of course. We have a desktop client in beta that's coming, it's coming soon. And yeah, just check it out, and I hope you enjoy it, and transact safely, and chat safely and privately.
Yeah, I'm doing my part to let status be known for the most people that here in Brazil, and people that use it likes that. So it's a feedback for you guys. It's have been a pleasure. Just directing to everyone, go to Status website, download the app on iOS and Android. Your privacy will be evaluated. They will not collect any data. And Jared, once again, thank you for your time. I will start the recording right now, but it's have been a really pleasure, and I think people will like to know more about your thinking and status app and more about this kind of stuff. E se você gostou dessa entrevista, ficou até o final, meus parabéns. Essa entrevista riquíssima, muito conteúdo. E se você quiser mais conteúdos como esse, mais entrevistas com pessoas importantes do mercado cripto, deixa aqui nos comentários que eu vou ter o maior prazer em chamar esses meus amigos, essas pessoas que eu conheço, para entrevistas nesse modelo. Então, não esquece, se inscreve no canal, já deixa um like e a gente se vê no próximo vídeo.